Hey, this is Ari. I recently sat down with brain health expert and functional neurologist, Dr. Titus Chu. We had an epic conversation on the podcast, and I wanted to share this little clip with you from that podcast and also encourage you to click the link below, check out the full episode. Lots of value in there, so enjoy this little clip.
When I work with patients, but also when I help people, again, healthy people take their brains to the next level, we focus on that. It's like, okay, how can we get more circulation and oxygenation to the brain? How can we prime those brain cells, right? So what I was talking about a second ago about like the neuroplasticity using the senses, right? So it's like you can use the senses to trigger these. It's kind of like I like to use the analogy personal training for the brain, right? So for example, if your right bicep is weak, you want to do specific right bicep curls, right? But if there's areas of your nervous system that aren't working as well as they could be, and you can unlock that and supercharge them, you want to be specific. Well, the thing is, right, for neuroplasticity to happen, for what I described earlier, like these eye exercises, or even in your example of like loving kindness meditation, which activates like the vagus nerve and the limbic system, right? And more specifically, the right side of the brain. Anyways, for those things to really work, you have to prime the brain cells. And so that's where the chemical brain really plays a big role. And that's kind of what I thought was rad about your approach, right? You're like, I do these breathing exercise, movement, I do mushrooms, a lot of that stuff, what it's doing from a, molecular or a chemical level is it's triggering the production of BDNF, as you know, right? Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So that's how you can prime your brain, right? Because research shows if you don't have high levels of BDNF, then no matter what you're actually like the brain training you're doing, it's not going to take hold as well. And a good analogy again is just kind of like if someone has a goal of getting ripped physically, right? Or they getting tone and getting really strong in certain muscle groups, they can do all the exercises, they can lift weights, do functional training. But if their body's inflamed and they're super stressed and there's cortisol, streaming through their blood and so on and so forth, they're not going to get much gain, right? Because there's inflammation, maybe there's not adequate protein, amino acid sources, nutrients, etc., right? Same thing goes for the brain. So yeah, it's like the first step is you need to prepare and prime your brain cells and different activities like boosting brain circulation. So physical things like breathing exercises, movement-based exercises. In addition, the use of medicinal mushrooms like you described, yeah, research shows, boom, BDNF like skyrockets, right? There's these natural ways of doing that. Caloric restriction is another example of doing that, as well as the use of polyphenols, curcumin, DHA, docosahexaenoic acid from fish oils. So those things can help prime the nervous system. Then from there, yeah, it's like, that's how I work my clients. I walk them through this process. Let's prime that. Let's get rid of any, noise in the nervous system by cleaning up the chemistry, boosting circulation. Then we figure out which area of the nervous system. Well, first off is like, what is your goal, right? So that's always the question. So if a person has a goal of becoming more compassionate, yeah, there are these practices that are thousands of years old that show, and now the research is catching up with it. Yeah, when you do like loving kindness meditation, it activates these regions of your nervous system we call the limbic system, right? And the vagus nerve and shifting heart rate variability, right? But the sky's the limit. That's what I was saying earlier. So if someone else has, if we have an athlete out there who wants to be a better, hockey player or better basketball player or archery, there are neural networks that allow a person to target their eyes to the exact degree they need to be accurate. Does that make sense? Like I've worked with some Olympic athletes in the past. And I remember this one guy, he had concussion and he was at the top of his game, like really at the top of his game, right? He had a concussion though. And every time he'd hit the hockey puck, the the hockey puck would always, he was at the top of his game prior to this. The hockey puck would all after the concussion, the hockey puck would always go a little bit off to the left. And then when we did an exam, guess what? We saw that his eyes, he thought if we could actually look at how well his eyes were targeting, we found that when his eyes targeted towards, for example, it was a simple test. I had him look at my thumbs. What I saw was his eyes, normally when I move the test was this, right? So when I wiggle my thumb, you're going to look your eye. Yeah, just like you did there. You moved your eyes to my thumb, and I can see how fast you moved it, how accurate, and it was pretty fast and accurate. So good job, right?
Super brain.
But yeah, good brain.
I didn't know, right? I was going to be getting neurological assessment during this interview.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. But that was good, right? And so that's what I want to see. But when we did it for him, when I wiggled my thumb off to his right side, actually, no, it was off to his left side, his eyes, instead of jumping directly onto my thumb, like targeting on it, it took 2-3 steps to get there, right? So I knew right away that was the reason why his hockey game was off, right? Because his brain and body was so well trained, his body was doing exactly what his brain was telling it to do, right? Hit the hockey puck. The problem was the brain was perceiving the goal a bit like 5 degrees off to the left. You see what I'm saying? So then we did a few simple exercises and bam, he got his game back, right? And so that's my point, is like, you can take the same concepts. If someone wants to be more creative, there's neural networks related to insight and creativity, more focused on the right hemisphere of the brain than the left in general, right? There's neural networks related to compassion, like and empathy. There's neural networks for being able to focus better and be a better student, right? So that's the wild thing. The sky's the limit. So really, it depends on what a person's goals are, right? So when people come to me, if they don't have like a health issue and they're just like, you know what? It's like, I'm healthy, but I want to get better at X, Y, or Z. Then what I do, I'm like, great. When they tell me X, Y, or Z, it doesn't just mean like, hey, I want to become a better, motorcyclist, or I want to become a better athlete, or better author, right? I think about what are the neural networks that allow a person to do that, right? So, and then from there, we can actually do assessments to see how well those areas of their brain are working, and then give specific brain activation exercises to train those. And again, as an example, for what you described, like the loving kindness meditation, that might be something I give someone who, yeah, they're just like, I want to become more patient with my kids, right? And I'm like, okay, step one, let's get rid of the inflammation. Let's get you more, because I can see that when I palpate, when you touch your nose, it's cold. So let's improve your brain circulation as well. So with some herbs and some breathing exercises, let's prime your brain cells. Then number two, when I look at your eyes and you're not able to focus and you're jumping all over the place, let's give you some eye exercises so you can get present, right? And then let's give you some loving kindness meditation so you can get more open again and in touch with your heart, right? So that's just an example, right? But again, the sky's the limit. It's really totally personalized to what a person's goals are. But that's the beautiful thing of neuroplasticity. What I learned in that 20-year journey to heal my brain, those same concepts of neuroplasticity, taking a broken brain and fixing it, can be applied to taking a pretty healthy brain to a whole new level of potential, right?
Hey, this is Ari. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one more thing before you go. Actually, two more things. One is, if you enjoyed this particular little clip, the link to the full-length podcast is in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Also, one more thing. Let me ask you a question. What if I could show you how to double your energy levels and dramatically improve your brain function, reducing your anxiety and depression to a degree on par with antidepressant drugs, but without the side effects? Sound pretty interesting? Well, there are, in fact, numerous compounds that can do this. that have been shown to do this. And I'll take you through just a few of these very briefly. One of them is rhodiola rosea. And this has been shown in studies, rhodiola rosea extract in people with stress-related fatigue and exhaustion to cut their levels of fatigue and brain fog in half in less than a month. Just this one compound. There's another compound in my formula Energenesis called NT factor phospholipids that's been shown to help repair mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial health to the level of healthy 29-year-olds, taking people with deteriorated mitochondria who are over the age of 65, restoring it to the level of healthy 29-year-olds. And that has been shown in numerous studies in various types of chronic fatigue, aging-associated chronic fatigue, obesity-related chronic fatigue syndrome, to increase energy levels by 30 to 45% in the span of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on the specific study. So dramatic improvements in a very, very short period of time. Two more compounds that are amazing, I highly recommend, that are in my formula Ultra Brain, along with rhodiola rosea. Saffron extract. This has been shown to increase levels of, improve your mood, I should say, and decrease levels of depression on par with fluoxetine, which is Prozac. And not only that, but with fewer side effects. It's much safer and much less likely to cause negative effects than antidepressant drugs are. Acetyl L-carnitine is another compound that's been shown to dramatically improve brain health in older adults. It also improves energy levels in older adults with chronic fatigue by between 40 to 50% in just the span of 2 to 4 months. And the last thing I'll mention here is acetyl L-carnitine has also been compared to antidepressant drugs and been shown, like saffron, to be as effective as antidepressant drugs in combating depression, but without the harmful side effects that so often occur with the drugs. So this is just a small sampling of the over 35 compounds that are in my formulas, Energenesis and Ultra Brain, that are all proven to dramatically improve energy levels, mitochondrial health, and brain health, and much, much more. And I highly recommend that you go check these out. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety or brain fog, if you're struggling with stress-related exhaustion and burnout, if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, go check out these formulas, give them a shot. I promise you are going to be blown away by the results. And like I said, the science has already proven that these things work. So you don't have to just take my word for it. There's lots of research to support that, and I'll even link to some of that research down below so you can verify everything that I just said for yourself. So the links to those studies will be in the description for this video down below. So check them out. Check out the formulas on the energyblueprint.com. Again, Energenesis is the mitochondrial formula, and Ultra Brain is our brain formula. Check them out, try them out, and I think you're going to be blown away by the results. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.